It was a hot summer afternoon when Michael, a hard-working father of two, walked into the local car dealership. He had saved up for months, working overtime and cutting back on expenses just to buy a reliable car for his family. The dealership looked sleek and professional, the shiny cars on display gleaming under the sunlight. He approached the counter, his heart beating with anticipation. "Good afternoon, sir. How can I help you today?" The salesman greeted him with a wide, polished smile. Michael explained his situation. He was looking for a dependable used car, something that would last for years and serve his family well. The salesman nodded enthusiastically. "You've come to the right place. We have the best deals in town." He led Michael to a sleek black sedan that looked almost brand new. "This car is practically a steal," the salesman said, his voice smooth. "It's been fully inspected, and it's at a price that you won't find anywhere else." Michael was impressed, but something about the deal didn't sit right. The car looked great, but the price seemed a little too good to be true. Before he could ask more questions, the salesman pushed forward. "Don't worry, sir. We offer a special financing plan. You'll be able to pay this off in no time. Trust me, you're getting the best deal." Just as Michael was about to sign the papers, a voice interrupted. "I wouldn't sign that if I were you." Michael turned to see none other than Keanu Reeves standing in the doorway, his calm and steady presence immediately putting him at ease. The salesman's smile faded as Keanu walked toward them. "Who are you to interrupt this transaction?" the salesman asked, his tone suddenly hostile. Keanu glanced at Michael, then back at the car. "You're trying to scam him." "What's going on here? Why does Keanu think something's wrong with the deal?" "Stay with us, because this is just the beginning." The salesman stiffened, his pleasant demeanor quickly replaced by a defensive edge. "Excuse me, but I'm just trying to help this man find the right car," he said, his eyes narrowing. Keanu didn't flinch. "That car isn't what you're telling him it is. It's been in an accident, and it's got a history of mechanical issues. You're hiding that from him, aren't you?" Michael blinked in disbelief. He had noticed the car looked too good to be true, but he hadn't thought much of it. The salesman scoffed, clearly flustered. "That's absurd. This car is in perfect condition. You can't just walk in here and make accusations like that." Keanu turned to Michael. "I know you've worked hard for this money. You've been saving for a long time, haven't you?" Michael nodded, still unsure of what was going on. "It's all I've got. My kids need a safe car, something that'll get us through the years." Keanu's eyes softened with understanding. "I get it. That's why you need to be careful. This car might look perfect on the surface, but underneath it's a risk. You can't afford that kind of risk." Michael felt a pit in his stomach. He had trusted the salesman, believed his assurances. The salesman, now visibly sweating, attempted to dismiss Keanu's words. "This is nonsense. You don't know what you're talking about. Just let him make his purchase." Keanu stood his ground. "You don't get to scam people like that. You're not going to take advantage of him. Not today." Michael was beginning to feel the weight of the situation. He didn't want to believe that someone was trying to cheat him, but something about the car and the salesman's behavior was starting to feel off. Is this scammer going to get away with it? Stick around, because Keanu is about to take things to the next level. Keanu took out his phone and dialed a number. "I'm calling in an expert. You're not getting away with this," he said, his voice calm but firm. The salesman's face twisted in frustration, but he said nothing. Keanu turned back to Michael, his voice gentle. "You deserve transparency. You deserve to know what you're really getting into." Michael wasn't sure what was happening, but Keanu's confidence gave him a sense of security. Within minutes, a mechanic named Sam arrived, a tall man with a toolbox slung over his shoulder. He walked straight to the car, his eyes scanning every inch. "What's going on here?" Sam asked, looking from Keanu to the salesman. Keanu nodded toward the salesman. "He's trying to sell this car as if it's in perfect condition, but it's been through a serious accident and has multiple hidden issues Can you confirm that? Sam immediately knelt beside the car, popping open the hood and inspecting the engine. After a few minutes, he stood up and shook his head. The salesman's right about one thing. This car's been fully inspected. He glanced at the salesman with a look of disdain, but only to cover up the problems. The frame's been repaired, and the transmission's about to fail. This car isn't safe. Michael's heart sank. He felt like he had been punched in the gut. He had almost signed away his hard-earned money for something that could have put his family in danger. The salesman, now visibly panicking, stepped forward. "This is ridiculous. You're causing trouble for no reason." Keanu raised an eyebrow. "No, you're causing trouble. Trying to deceive this man. I'm not going to let that happen." How will the salesman react? Will Keanu's actions expose the full extent of the scam? Keep watching, because the truth is about to come out. The salesman, now backed into a corner, tried to bluff his way out. "You can't prove anything," he said, his voice shaking. "This is all just speculation." Keanu crossed his arms, his eyes sharp. "I don't need to prove anything. The car is the proof. We have the mechanic's report, and we have witnesses. You're going to have to answer for this." The salesman's face turned pale. He had no way to weasel his way out of the situation now. He turned toward Michael, his tone shifting to one of desperation. "Look, I'm just trying to do my job here. You're making this so much harder than it needs to be. Let's just forget about this, and I'll give you a deal on something else." But Michael, his anger growing, shook his head. "No, I'm not going to let you take advantage of me. I've worked too hard for this money." Keanu stepped closer to the salesman, his voice lowering. "And you won't get away with this. I'm calling the authorities." Within moments, the police arrived, and the salesman was escorted out of the dealership in handcuffs. The manager, who had been hiding in the back office, was forced to address the situation, apologizing profusely to Michael for the scam. "We'll make sure you're fully reimbursed," the manager promised, "and we'll take care of everything from here." Could this be the end of the scammer's reign? Keep watching, because this story isn't finished yet. In the days that followed, Michael felt a weight lifted from his shoulders. He had almost lost everything he had worked for, but thanks to Keanu's intervention, he was no longer at the mercy of the corrupt car dealer. The dealership fully refunded him for the attempted scam, and Michael was able to find a real, reliable car with Keanu's help. They even went together to a local lot where Michael found a perfect family car, one that was within his budget and actually suited his needs. "I'm glad I could help," Keanu said with a smile as they stood outside the dealership. "You've earned this, Michael. Don't let anyone take that away from you." Michael shook his hand, his voice full of gratitude. "I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't stepped in. You really saved me." Keanu smiled. "Just doing the right thing." As Michael drove home that night in his new car, he couldn't help but feel a deep sense of relief. His family was safe, and he had a renewed faith in people, thanks to the one man who didn't let a scammer get away with it. If you were inspired by Keanu's actions, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay updated on more incredible stories. Sometimes the right person comes along at the right moment, and it can change everything.